Coming up, two athletes use their talents for culture, skating to bring awareness to missing and murdered Indigenous relatives, and surfing to remember and strengthen Hawaiian culture. Plus, the controversy over lithium mines continues above the medicine line. I'm Mackenzie Allen Charmley. Join us for those interviews, plus headlines from the ICT Newscast.
This program is made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, a private corporation funded by the American people.
Arizona State University welcomes 3,500 Indigenous students from Arizona and across the nation. It serves one of the largest populations of Indigenous students among U.S. colleges and universities. We created a sense of place for tribal nations to create futures of their own making through community outreach and research, taught by world-class Indigenous faculty where they see a reflection of themselves and their experiences. Find community at ASU.
Chinangale, we're so happy you could join us. We start in Oklahoma, where proposed legislation would allow Native American students to wear traditional regalia. Senate Bill 429 would allow students to wear cultural items on school property or at any school event, including graduation. This includes items such as tribal cords, stoles, feathers, and beaded graduation caps. According to Shawnee citizen Governor John Johnson, wearing regalia reinforces traditions and demonstrates cultural pride. The graduation rate for Native American students is 10% lower than the national average, according to data from the National School Boards Association. SB 429 passed the Senate Education Committee last week by a vote of 11-0. If approved, the law would go into effect in July of 2023. We now head to Switzerland, where a museum has returned objects in a first-of-its-kind ceremony. Geneva's Museum of Ethnography in Geneva returned two sacred items to Haudenosaunee citizens. The objects that were returned were a rattle and a mask that had been taken 200 years ago. A spokesperson for the museum explained this is the first part of its goal to return objects in its collection to its rightful owner. Tuscarora citizen Brennan Ferguson stated seeing the objects in the cases felt like seeing something neglected. A report from the museum shows that at least half of the items had been looted from Benin, West Africa, and other stolen items like these may not be the last ones to return home. The museum's executive team hopes to give back more artifacts like the famous Benin bronzes. While the United Methodist Church has inducted its first Indigenous bishop. Choctaw citizen Bishop David Wilson is the first Indigenous bishop to be recognized at the global level. Bishop Wilson was inaugurated at Countryside United Methodist Church on February 11th. The service included a tribal presentation, a spiritual dance, and Bishop Wilson was gifted a traditional native blanket. Indigenous representation is not prominent in Protestant churches, so Wilson's position opens the doors for others. According to a statement, Bishop Wilson said his position will allow him to be a greater voice for the Indigenous community. He plans to work with churches and legislators to bring justice to Native people. During Super Bowl week, the Philadelphia Eagles stayed at the Sheraton Grand Hotel located on the Gila River Indian Reservation. Dakota McDowell Wapakichi talked with three Eagles players about the area and one very interesting pattern.
Super Bowl 57 between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles has some history and patterns. This year, the Philadelphia Eagles are staying on the Gila River Indian Reservation, which puts them in good company. In 2015, the New England Patriots stayed on the reservation and won their Super Bowl. In 2008, the same happened, but for the New York Giants. Now, the Eagles lost their game Sunday, which brings an end to this streak. But before the game, Jason Kelsey and Jordan Mailata felt differently about the situation.
I do like patterns. I think one of the workers out by the pool, I was getting a sandwich the other day, and they mentioned that, and that was good to hear. Hopefully we can make that 3 in a row.
Nah, that doesn't. I mean, that's, again, man, you guys pull out the craziest stats. How do you find that out? That's crazy.
They may not agree on the superstition of the reservation and the Super Bowl, but what they can agree on is the beauty of the area the reservation has.
It's been unbelievable. It's beautiful. It's very big hotel. But yeah, just enjoying my time. Family just got here, so spending time with them here. But really just enjoying the weather here. The sun feels good to get a tan.
The place is great. It's the accommodations are wonderful. The scenery is beautiful. There's a lot to do that I probably haven't had the opportunity to experience and look forward to. The staff sent something up to our roof for all my kids. It was very nice of them. So it's been a really beautiful experience so far.
Yeah, I wish I could have time to go check it. But I want to go on a walk. I do. But just like Australia, I'm scared to get bit by a snake or a scorpion out here. I don't know the landscape that well. But if I was well versed in the landscape, I'd definitely be just trying to educate myself in the scenery and the environment, man, because this looks like an amazing place, man.
The game took place Sunday inside State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. Reporting in Phoenix, Dakota McDowell-Wapakichi, ICT News.
And those are the headlines for the ICT Newscast. A roller derby skater is using her skills to raise awareness and education on missing and murdered Indigenous relatives. Melissa Skeet began her career in victim assistance, and due to her own experience with domestic violence, skating became a savior. Through this, she discovered empowering athletes through this sport, and she continues to skate for awareness. Melissa Skeet joins us today to tell us where she'll be skating next. Hi, Melissa.
Hi, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
It's great to have you. In 2021, you skated 192 miles across the Navajo Nation to bring awareness to MMIP, and there is even a documentary about it. Could you tell us about that experience and what prompted you to do that?
Yeah, oh my gosh, that experience was something that was very, very, it definitely brought a lot of healing to those on the Navajo Nation, but those who were watching it from around the world. But it brought healing to myself as well, and I have to say it was, of course, one of the most challenging things I've ever committed myself to. So, but what prompted me to do it was so Daisy Purdy is another skater, roller derby skater, and she had roller skated 2,000 miles a year before I did the 192 mile skate. And I told myself, I said, I want to do that. I want to do exactly what she just did. I want to do something, like she did, because she did it for another different cause. So MMIW was something that needed to be spread across the entire world even more and even further. So I wanted to bring forward more of awareness to missing and murdered Indigenous women. And now it's, looking more into missing and murdered Indigenous persons. And that includes the LGBTQ. So that's, trans relatives, two-spirit relatives as well.
You partner with nonprofits in raising awareness through skating. What is your next venture involved with this?
So we have an event going on right now, and it's basically for the February 14th MMIW National Day of Action. So this whole month I am hosting it's a 5K virtual event. So anybody can sign up. You can run, walk, bike, roller skate, anything that brings you out on the outdoors to get with just be with the Creator, be with Mother Nature, and just get out and just, a part of the healing process as well. So that is going on all of this month. Donations and proceeds are actually going to Native Hope, and they are a nonprofit Indigenous organization. And next year, I will be doing a great skate, which will be I'll be roller skating across the nation.
Goodness, I'm curious, what made you want to get into skating and have a love for skating to begin with?
It was roller derby. I had actually had a really close friend of mine who I met when I was starting out my career in victim assistance, and she was an attorney. She was in roller derby. She would show up to our, she would show up to work. She was just in her business suit outfit, and then she had just different color hair, different colored nails. And I was kind of like, what does she do outside of work? So she invited me to one of her roller derby bouts, which is, they call it bouts, but they're games. And I was able to attend one of them. And I said to myself, this is amazing. I really want to do this. So I decided I tried out. It was a long process, training process, and I earned my roller derby name, which is Skeet Fighter. And that is what I use for my awarenesses as well. And I just fell in love with the family dynamics of these individuals within the sport. And they were just such empowering individuals, and they just gave you so much strength. You show up at the door at the track, and you literally forget any stress from the outside of that, and you just focus. All you do is focus on roller skating that day with your best friends, with your family.
If anything, you've shown that it's possible to raise awareness on important issues through any form or activity. Did you imagine that what you're doing now would be a possibility?
I didn't. This honestly was extremely unexpected for me. And, then when I decided to do the 192-mile skate, I looked to my partner, Nate Zahn, and I said, do you want to do this with me? And he just high-fived me and said, let's do it. And, it just pumped me up even more. I had my doubts. I was stressed out. I was just all the things, all the emotions. And I kept telling myself, I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. And our main goal for this skate was actually to do 300 miles. But we decided, I was meeting so many different people along the way. And that was the most important part of it. And also raising awareness and bringing more education through storytelling and allowing people, even non-natives who, will try to contact me and say, I don't know what this is. Can you help me understand more about it? And I will let them know about it. And that's how it starts out, is just providing that education and doing it too through storytelling. And I guess my storytelling is through roller skating.
What would you say to those who also want to help raise awareness but aren't quite sure where to start or how?
You'll have your doubts. You definitely will. The one thing to keep going is just to know that you can do it. You will. The one great feeling that I still stick with myself, and I still have it till this day, is being nervous and afraid at the same time. When you have those two different feelings, that that's like the best feeling you can have. And it just pushes you even more. And not only are you helping others out, but you're also helping by providing health, wellness, and healing. And that is my mission as a roller skater. And I guess my type of approach is very unique because it's through roller skates. And I would have to say, just don't give up. You can do it. I had my doubts again, and I know I kept telling myself, it's not going to work out. I know I can't do it. You have those I can'ts all the time. But you turn those into I cans, and look what happens. You're helping out a great amount of individuals, and not just across the nation, but globally. So just being that person for a voice for those who don't have that voice, it's such an empowering approach. And I hope I can empower and inspire others to do the same.
We're ending our time here, but I wanted to ask, with mental health being so important now and this issue being so serious, how do you, as an advocate, stay strong in your advocacy?
Oh gosh, that is such a great question. Yeah, and mainly, taking care of myself. And that is through strength. I do a lot of strength training to prepare myself for roller skating. I do a lot of mobility work outside of strength training. And then I do endurance workouts, which includes a lot of roller skating. I try to get out on snow feet since we have snow here. And snow feet is basically skiing, like ski skating. It's weird. It's like a new thing. And I try to get out and run. I don't like to run. I try to get out and run just to help with my endurance. Being on the outdoors is the main important component that I've noticed for myself, helps to rejuvenate my mind, body, soul, and spirit.
Well, Melissa Skeet, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
First Peoples Fund is honoring Tom Pohaku Stone with the Community Spirit Award. These artists embody their people's cultural assets in their creations and their way of life. Through his nonprofit organization, Kanalu, he is passionate about preserving and sharing traditional Hawaiian values and connection to the ocean. ICT's Shirley Sneve has this interview.
The work that we're doing through our nonprofit, Kanalu, it's all focused on community, indigenous traditions and practices to keep that as part of our way of life, and how it can help us spiritually, politically, economically, because everybody's selling us but us. And so, homelessness, and it's not homelessness, it's houselessness. The affordability in Hawaii for Native Hawaiians or Kanakamole, it's just become difficult. It's been a really hard road, but rather than Korea, Taiwan, and elsewhere selling our culture, it should be us doing it and making the bank on it. So we're reaching out to the young generations to teach them that there's alternatives in that sense, and to have pride in who they are and the things that our kupuna, our ancestors, have given back to us. And along that route, we just want to encourage those generations, and it's just not the younger generations, but our older generations, our makua, that it's never too late to understand the other world and to be able to build off of that.
Now, I imagine family's very important to you because these traditions have been passed down.
Yes, I was fortunate enough to finally wake up one day and realize how important it was. And, it just comes down through my mother, my grandfather, and all my great aunts and uncles, as well as my dad. But the most instrumental individuals were all my greats who took the time to realize that I wasn't such a crazy bad kid. I was actually had to find my pathway, and I found my pathway, and they gave me acknowledgement. And so prior to all their passings, right? So it's something I hope to leave behind with my family, my children, my grandchildren as well, and onwards. But overall, I hope to pass it on to a greater, larger segment of our Native community, how important it is, as well as educate the world that we're still here, we're still alive, as indigenous peoples of the world. So the way I put it, and the way my mother taught, I was born from the ocean. I was born to the ocean. I am the ocean. So I grew up with that mindset my entire life. Surfing is just part of that, but it's one that I embraced as my entire life. I was born to surf, but going from contemporary surfing backwards to traditional was a pivotal point in my life, and it laid the foundation for my academic journey. I just remembered my grandfather's stories and what he was training me to do, and I just embraced that and began riding and building. And the sled here in Hawaii is a little bit different than any place else in the world, because over here, traditionally it's done on like lava rock, and we build these great slides, and it goes zooming down them at about 50 to 80 miles an hour or more. So it's a little crazy, but it taught me how strong we need to be, right? Commitment, willing to sacrifice yourself. And that's the way it was in the old days, because there's so much unknown to the world about who we are, and a lot of information that's been accumulated by early, colonial, expansion is incorrect. So we're just busy trying to properly correct all that history and information about our cultural practices, and especially again within surfing, because it's a multi-billion-dollar business, and there's been a tendency over decades to control that history within that industry. And myself being a product of that contemporary industry of surfing, you know, I just decided that it's time to push back and correct the histories and share that with the world and within our own community, because a lot of us here in Hawaii aren't even aware of our connection to the ocean. And that's what Kanalu does, is providing that ocean connection that people should learn and be aware and understand who we are. So.
In Canada, the province of Quebec is holding a series of consultations with One Cree Nation as it prepares a report on the James Bay lithium mine. However, some citizens within the nation are concerned about how the mine's approval will transform their ancestral territory. APTN's Amelia Fournier has this report.
The vast territory of Iuichi has provided for the Cree since time immemorial, but now there's a new source of wealth located underneath the ground.
I have mixed feelings. Yes, I see the potential of economy for this mine, but I also see the downside, what I'm going to lose, my lifestyle, our tradition.
The James Bay lithium mine will cut through Tallyman Brian Wapanakapo's trapline in the ancestral territory of the Cree of East Main in northern Quebec. It has been approved by the federal government, but that doesn't mean it's a done deal yet. The mine, proposed by the company Alchem Galaxy Resources Limited, hasn't received approval from Quebec. Before that happens, an independent environmental review body has to hold public hearings in affected communities. On January 24th, Wapanakapo outlined his concerns for hunters.
This area where the mining project is going to be is one of our prime and key hunting areas. It's going to be affected.
Wapanakapo wants to see more income security for hunters so they can get more equipment to continue their lifestyle.
Every time there's a project happening around the area, for example, the hydro, the mining, the hunters are the ones who are most affected, and they're the least taken care of.
The Cree from East Main at the public hearings asked several questions about how their community will be taken care of by the mining companies.
I'd like to have a history lesson for Alchem. Is he a successful company? How many successful projects he had? Is there a storyline? Has he messed up his projects? I'd like to know.
Consultations and studies in collaboration with the Cree Nation have been underway for the past 5 years, says Denis Couture, head of Alchem Galaxy Canadian operations. Couture said the mine will bring jobs and revenue to the Cree of Iuichi, but lithium mines can pose health and environmental risks. Concerns voiced at the public hearing echoed those of Ernie Moses, a tallyman whose trapline will be destroyed by the neighboring upcoming Rose lithium mine. At the public hearing on January 24th, he said he didn't fully support the James Bay lithium mine and wants to make sure community oversees the project. Couture promised that the company will continue the environmental and health monitoring process alongside trappers and the Cree Health Board.
Rehabilitation money need to close, they will be put on the side right at the construction at beginning of operation. So if something happened year 5, year 10, year 15 after, the money will be parked in the bank account and we cannot do anything with this outcome. Even we go bankrupt, we cannot take that money. So the government will take that money and do the work.
But Charles Isao, a cultural teacher with the Cree Health Board, said it's too early to tell what will be the long-term impacts.
Tailings and all that stuff that get into the water systems. And once it starts to get into that system, then I'd have a concern. I'd be really concerned about the plant life, the animal life, everything that we have in our indigenous life.
Crees have until February 27th to send questions and concerns to this email. Emilia Fournier, APTN National News, Montreal.
That's a slice of our Indigenous world. For all the latest, visit ictnews.org. From all of us in the newsroom, stay safe, my relatives.
This program is made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, a private corporation funded by the American people.